Welcome to Ranger Stories. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I'm the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is the show where I read things that I'm writing in the Jump Rangers universe and probably edit and discuss them for your viewing pleasure. Today we're reading Jump Rangers, a game called Conquest, Chapter 31. If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes of Ranger Stories, you can find those episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/jumprangers. Let's begin. When I arrived to conquer planet Earth, I had a pocket full of spores. Each of them was about the size of a small meatball. I had the Rangers of High Command by my side, and maybe a dozen or so Rangers besides. I had a cook as old as. Was he 60? Was he 70? Honestly, I don't know. He was old. What I'm saying is that we didn't have a lot to work with. Even if the Sarge came through for me, I wasn't sure we'd have enough going on to keep the scouts from Hawk's Nest and the Saurian patrols from Alien City from seeing the spores and shooting them down, from seeing my spores and shooting them down. There may be some edits here. I rushed going into the last couple of chapters, um, so don't be surprised if we end up bogged down. We'll find out what happens. I thought about just sending them down. I thought about okay. My plan sounded good, but my math wasn't working out. When they're this small, uh, spores don't have enough of an impact area to crack open the shell and release the larvae. To crack open the outer shell and release the larvae. Okay. Let's say this doesn't work. Let's say I went back to Planet Mist to ask for more spores. I wasn't really sure the Queen was still going to be there. Last time she was looking pretty bloated and tired. Wasting the chance she'd given me felt like a pretty bad idea. I'd spent almost 2 years trying to find the best way to give our homeworld back to the people who belong there, and I still wasn't sure I could do it. So here we go. What if I wasted the chance she gave me? What if. So yeah. What if I wasted the chance the Queen has given me? No, it was more than that. I didn't think the plan was going to work. I'd learned all the ways that this could go wrong over the last 2 years. There we go. Okay, let's say this doesn't work. Let's say I went back to Planet Mist to ask for more spores. I wasn't really sure the Queen was still going to be there. Last time she was looking pretty bloated and tired. What if I wasted the chance the Queen has given me? No, it was more than that. I didn't think the plan was going to work. Over the last 2 years, I'd learned all the ways that this could go wrong. Now I was starting to think there was no way it could go right. Good thing I wasn't alone. Hiding in the safe house in the human undercity of Tokyo, I talked things through with Uncle Slappy and High Command. One thing I knew for sure was that the Sarge wasn't going to let me down. Sarge told me he'd take care of the Underswords. He told me to trust him. Trusting him was part of my job, and I wasn't going to let him down. So the Sarge was coming. That's all there was to it. High Command could make sure that when he did, and when the Mothership Dangerous descended on Alien City to unload their dragons and their disruptors, like only a Saurian warship can, that Alien City had their hands full. Sneaking into the spaceport and overloading the octinators that power the Saurian City is exactly the kind of thing that Jump Rangers do when they want to cause trouble. If the Spore were going to thrive on planet Earth, if they were going to get the time they need to build a hive, And someone was going to need to give the Saurians a lot of trouble. Together, High Command. Then someone was going to need to keep the Saurians busy. There you go. Together, High Command left through the tunnels to sabotage the power and weapon systems of Alien City. Uncle Slappy wasn't willing to lead an assault on Hawk's Nest, but he was willing to speak with Commander Hawk. Maybe hearing our plan to speak with the commander. Maybe hearing our plan from a grown-up would change things for her. Maybe she'd just wind up throwing Uncle Slappy into another brig, but if she did, then at least he could distract the commander long enough to let the other Rangers in our company steal the fighters and the gunships waiting in the hangars of Hawk's Nest. If Scrap and I were getting screened by Pegasus space fighters, Hercules mecha fighters, and Argos gunships, we'd have a better chance. Yeah. How can Hawk's Nest stop us with space fighters and gunships if we've already stolen them? There we go. Better question. How long does it take for larvae to build a spawning pool? How long do you need before there's enough hives to create a spore planet, to create a spore world? When does wiping out a spore infestation start becoming impossible? All I knew was the feeling left behind by the Queen when she played out the invasion of Earth in my mind. Somehow it wasn't long at all. Still, I'd been fighting the nagging sense that we weren't giving ourselves enough time. With Uncle Slappy's help, with help from High Command, with Rangers taking the fighters from Hawk's Nest that had been giving the Sergeant my problems until now, my anxieties were starting to feel more distant. Still, I couldn't shake them off. Once High Command had left for the Saurian spaceport and Scrap was back from taking Uncle Slappy and the Rangers to the caves outside Hawk's Nest, Scrap and I. So, once High Command had left for the Saurian spaceport, when Scrap was back from taking Uncle Slappy and the Rangers to the caves outside Hawk's Nest, the Mistling and I found a tall building and camped on the roof to watch for signs of the Sarge. High Command had agreed to wait for the Sarge before setting things off at Alien City. Less than an hour later, a call came in from the Ranger team at Hawk's Nest. Uncle Slappy's appeal to Commander Hawk had gotten stonewalled. Had gotten him thrown in a cell for his trouble. Moving in, the Rangers had stolen a squadron of Pegasus space fighters, a wing of Hercs, and an Argos gunship. Hiding on the moon, the Rangers were waiting for my signal to come and provide cover for Scrap and I as we seeded the planet with spores. If cover wasn't necessary, they'd join the fight at Alien City. Watching and waiting was about the only thing left for me to do. Sitting on that building, which was a tall, hollow, rectangular structure made of concrete and metal rotting away on the outskirts of the human city, of what was once a great human city. Scrap and I finally had a few moments alone. In the quiet breeze blowing in from the sea, I wondered if maybe Scrap had some kind of grown up agenda. Was there some kind of big picture here that I wasn't seeing? Okay, this is better. Sitting on that building, which was a tall, hollow, rectangular structure made of concrete and metal. Sitting on that building, a tall, hollow, rectangular structure made of concrete and metal that was rotting away on the outskirts of what was once a great human city. Scrap and I finally had a few moments alone. In the quiet breeze blowing in from the sea, I started wondering why it was that Scrap was helping us. started wondering aloud just why it was that Scrap was helping us. Were they looking out for the mislings, or were they looking out for their friends? Taking a deep breath, Scrap sat down on the edge of an exposed girder and considered me. You can have both, Wrench. When something is the right thing to do, it's often right for different people, and each for their own reasons. When we met, you said that the humans were what stands, that the human race was what stands between the Saurian horde and the Mislings. You were right. Keeping the humans alive will help keep Mistling colonies safe, because the exterminators of the Saurian horde will always be too concerned with human colonies to look for my people. Bringing the spore to Earth in the end will help give the humans a place in the galaxy. Doing that makes them stronger, more resilient, harder to wipe out. In the short term, losing Earth may make the Saurians less patient with human infestations. For a time, things may be worse. Survive that, and you will emerge stronger for it. More than this, however, is the question of legacy. Nodding as if I understood the ins and outs of what Scrap was telling me, I quietly digested the idea that Scrap really was about keeping humanity between the disruptors of the Saurian exterminators and the Mistling colonies that seemingly thrive from one corner of the Saurian Empire to the other. More than this, however, is the question of legacy. More than anyone, the nomads understand the difference between leadership and heroism. Heroism is something history decides about us without our involvement. Heroes are chosen as examples for people to live up to, most often because they have behaved in a way that protects the people's way of life. Leaders, on the other hand, set out to change that way of life in whatever way they believe will benefit people the most. When they are successful, leaders are not likely to be celebrated. More often than not, they find new leaders. Leaders find old leaders find successful leaders find new leaders turn around. More often than not, successful leaders turn around one day to find new leaders rising up behind them, trying to unmake their works, trying to unmake their good works. Leaders will threaten the way of life, Wrench. Oftentimes, the work of a leader, I'm just going to delete that. Oftentimes, the work of a leader creates room for some other person, someone seeking to become a hero to the people, to find their glory simply by opposing that leadership. Doing so protects the way of life, after all. But sometimes the way of life is not good. Sometimes the way of life needs to change. Being a hero is easy enough. Being a hero takes good timing and perhaps some courage or social skill, but being a leader demands vision. Being a leader is a selfless act. Being a leader means doing something hard because it will make life better for others, and then asking others to do the same. When the Scouting Guild made that choice, when we were exiled and forced to become nomads, Moldavite and the Rockman people welcomed us onto their world. When we lost our home, we were given a new home by beings who knew very little about us. Our leadership to our people was enough to convince the Rockman people the Rock, we'll just call them the Rock, was enough to convince the Rock that our guild was worth preserving, and they gave us a sanctuary beneath the surface of their world. You and the Sarge are far younger than any member of the Scouting Guild, now or on the day when we were exiled. I cannot offer you sanctuary. I cannot offer you a place to find safety if the humans renounce you. What I can do, and what I have done, is satisfy myself that you will not face these dangers alone. If what you have told me is true, there are many jump rangers who have been praised as heroes by the humans. Your Admiral Arden Paxis and your Commander Sudropaxis were praised as heroes. Heroes can be noble. Protecting the way of life can be important and just and right. What you and the Sarge have shown is leadership. So heroes can be noble. Protecting the way of life can be important and just and right. But it does not demand change. Protecting the way of life can be important and just and right, but it does not demand change from people. What you and the Sarge have shown is leadership. Leadership can be a terrible burden. For someone so young to carry that mantle so willingly is brave, Wrench. Too many people in this galaxy would be willing to see that courage go to waste, rather than join you in the fulfillment of it. If I did not help, I would be one of those people. For a moment, Scrap thought in silence. No, I would not like myself if I turned my back on that kind of courage. I guess that makes you my hero then. For the first time since I'd known them, Scrap laughed out loud. I guess it does. Why did Scrap and I choose that moment to open up to one another? Maybe we were just out of time. With nothing left to say, Scrap and I spent a quiet few days together on the roof of that building in friendly silence. One of us would rest while the other watched for motherships in the sky. On the third day, not long before sundown, the mothership Dangerous plunged from the heavens like a world-ending fireball, spewing dragon starfighters in every direction, firing the massive braking thrusters on the mothership's underbelly, igniting the air with searing volleys from the massive disruptor cannons. The mothership besieged the Saurian spaceport and lit the murky twilight sky. And that's the end of chapter 31. There's some good stuff here, obviously. I think this whole book is gonna take some refining. It's gonna take some work, but um, one of the things that I wanted to avoid in writing this was the trend so many authors have, to just think in terms of the movie and think in terms of the screenplay and to basically write the adaptation, to write the film on the page as opposed to writing the book. I wanted a book that really challenged kids to look at the themes of Jump Rangers and to really um, embrace the personal challenges that these characters are going through. And I I think I've done a really good job of building a foundation for that in the text. It's going to become a lot more, as I edit it, it'll become a lot more nuanced, I'm sure. But I think, we're not dancing around the big ideas that make Jump Rangers, or at least some of them, that make Jump Rangers engaging, and good for people. And I think that this is kind of the last time to sit down and talk about that stuff before the big fight. I like it. Yeah. All right. Good talk. um, we had a new episode of The Rookies, our actual play stream of the Jump Rangers tabletop role playing game on Monday. It's on the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. We're going to have another stream of Metagame on Saturday. I'd love to have you there. Check that out. That's going to be at 2:30 p.m. That's it. I'll be streaming Star Citizen tomorrow. If anybody wants to come hang out, say hi, please do. Don't be a stranger, Ranger.